Oh, hey guys, how you doing tonight? I had a day off today. It was good. Slept way in. Always nice. Because, everybody's working more than they should be and working long hours and everybody is working, right? Like, everybody is working. It's impossible to actually get together with people. Especially now with COVID going on, all this nonsense. It's just like a constant state of bombardment. With no reprieve, no break whatsoever. On it goes, on and on it goes. Tomorrow's the throne speech. I do want to stay hopeful. I do. Like, something's got to give, Something's got to give. There just does come a point where, like, we cannot continue acting in the way that we are acting. And there's, like, a little part of me that thinks that, like, the Trudeau Liberals are going to start... Like, if you imagine capitalism as I do, which is as a shambling zombie corpse, right? That is in this state of decay and is barely staying on its feet and barely staying together, right? I think, in the end, the Trudeau legacy will be like a pinky breaking off of that shambling corpse. A little tiny fraction. And I think he's just sort of hoping that the whole experiment will collapse on its own. And then he'll ride in like the white knight that he believes he is. And try to pick up the pieces instead of actually having a plan, instead of actually having something that works for people right now, I think he might be hoping that the whole operation will come to a collapse. Because if you wanted to collapse corporate capitalism, there's one very clear way that you could do it, right? Just put the society in lockdown over Christmas. And that would do it. Corporate capitalism would die instantly. It wouldn't survive. If you put a hold on Christmas, right? If there were mass general strikes over Christmas, that would basically destroy corporate capitalism. It wouldn't be able to survive. And we'd be forced into a position to put in serious measures, serious governmental measures, in order to prevent the worst outcomes of this collapse. Because we've put all our trust behind these unaccountable billionaires who don't care about us, right? And have no reason to care about us. Like, the only reason any billionaire would care about the commoners is if the commoners got together and threatened them existentially. Like, that's the only thing that works. When the guillotines came out in the 17th century, like, the middle class just stepped out of the way and let the poor have at it, And I feel like a very similar thing is going to happen here if we don't make the rational decisions to actually help people. And we'll see. The throne speech the throne speech, but most importantly the budget, is going to have the proof in the pudding, right? Like, are we going to abandon people the way that we've been abandoning people for the last 40 years? Or are we just going to continue this trend of abandonment? Or are we going to actually help people? And if you're a conservative type, you don't want to help people. You want them to pull up their bootstraps, and then you want to ignore the effort that they do put in. I was just talking to somebody about this today, like, the whole bootstrapping crowd, right? Like, they gotta snap on the trigger, like, oh, if you fail, just stand back up, right? But they don't respect what that actually looks like. They don't respect that the people who are getting back up on their own 2 feet and who are doing it, like, they are already doing that, right? It just doesn't look the way conservatives want it to look, because they live in this mythical fantasy land where people can just, like, go from being literally homeless and completely broke to the CEO of some company. Like, what are you fucking talking about? Like, it's this mythical fantasy that maybe happened one time. And of course, people ignore, like, the $100,000 loan that he got from his buddy or something. Just ignore that. That's fine. We can continue grinding people into the earth, and that'll be totally fine. I'm very bored these days. Boredom is taking a toll, for sure. You know, you want to break things up. You want to go to an event. You want to go to a party. You want to go to some kind of thing where there's other people that you can talk to and learn something about them, and maybe start a relationship or start something, or have some laughs, you know, share your own experiences, your own life. And all of that just seems like it's been completely put on hold. You know, like there's this, it's bad enough that there's a social barrier that you have to break through to talk to people, but now there's this other, like, health and safety barrier that you gotta, like, hold off. You can't really approach people. They retreat from you actively. Like, 2020 has been a tough year for everybody. It's been a tough year across the board. It's taking an existential toll. It's taking a psychological toll on people. And we're not, like, the kids aren't okay. Like, the kids aren't okay. We're not all right. We're not all right. And if we don't actually, like, address the serious issues that are being put forward by the people who need to live here for the next 60 years, you know, if we don't actually listen to the serious issues that the kids are putting forward, right, we're going to pay for it. We're going to pay for it very badly. Because there does come a moment, like, if you're one of these boomer types, right, and you're one of these boomer types that's sitting there going, oh, you know, I'll be dead before that's a problem, right? Well, don't be too surprised if your kids abandon you in some home somewhere. Oh, my kids never call. Yeah. Because you kept voting for people who were actively attempting to fuck us over. Like, you refused to listen to us. You refused to listen to anything we had to say. You decided to live in this delusional space where magic is real, and a person can go from being literally dejected and poverty-stricken on the street to a high-powered CEO with $1 billion job. Like, you live in a fantasy world, if this is what you're saying. And we're going to abandon you there. And be happy to do it. Because eventually there does come a point, like, the boomers die. Right? They go away. And if you're one of these boomers and you're 80, 90, and you're kind of the ones that are hanging on, you're going to get left behind. And we're going to be happy to do it. I'd like to think that we would actually extend the olive branch and actually say, hey, you guys actively attempted to murder us and destroy us. But I just don't think that's going to be the case. Like, it's going too far. Maybe if it had have happened like 10 years ago, maybe if we had have actually started to take seriously these issues 10 years ago, maybe that would be on the table. But I think that that window is shrinking. The window for that kind of thing is shrinking. That when I'm 50, right? When I'm 50 and these major problems start to manifest themselves, and I start taking a look at my nieces and nephews, my cousins, their children, and start seeing and start talking to them about the incredible hardship that they're going through, about the incredible difficulties that they're going through, about the strife that we're going through, I'm not gonna mince words about who the fault lays with. There were people who were denying that climate change was a problem for decades, right? We literally have documents from Enron showing that they knew about climate change in the 70s and that they actively funded anti-climate change movements and groups in order to lie to the public about the seriousness of climate change. Like, these people should be hung as traitors, without a doubt. Like, that's not different. To me, that's no different than Nazi collaboration, right? Like, if you were a Nazi collaborator, you should be hung with the Nazis, without a doubt. And if you're telling me that you knew that climate change was real and serious and an existential threat, and then funded groups to delude the public into believing it wasn't an issue, you should be hung as a traitor. I just don't think that that's a debate. Like, I don't think that if someone were to stand up and say that that shouldn't happen, I don't think they should be taken seriously as a person. Like, people are not accepting where the stakes are. People are not accepting what the stakes are, and it's going to cost. There's going to be a heavy toll to pay. And it's going to be a heavy toll. And when the most impoverished people start experiencing the massive suffering that this is going to cause, that our arrogance and ignorance is causing, they're not going to go down silently. Like, they're not going to go down quietly. And we could stop it. We could shift our economy into a war economy. We could actually start taking climate change seriously. We could actually start fighting it seriously. But I doubt it. I doubt we'll see Justin Trudeau's Liberals actually put forward a plan that takes the issue seriously. I think that they are interested in looking like they are taking the issue seriously. I don't think they are interested in actually taking the issue seriously. Like, here's a great example of what I'm talking about. So the Liberals just recently announced a plan that they're going to buy hotels and motels and transfer those into affordable housing. Okay, like, yeah, good idea, right? But that doesn't actually address the cause of housing inflation, right? That doesn't actually address the cause of what's going on in our housing markets, which are twofold, right? You have the billionaire class that lives in Canada sitting on empty properties in order to price fix the market, which is absolutely what they're doing, because they know if they actually sold these empty condos and rented these empty spaces, right, that prices would go down. And so it's actually more beneficial for them to just sit on empty properties. And they can afford to do it because they're billionaires. They don't give a fuck. And then the second problem is that we have foreign investors, Chinese and Russian billionaires and oligarchs, who are using our housing market as a gambling casino, where they buy up property and then hold on to it so that they can resell it at a higher price. Another completely illegitimate reason. Another reason why we should just completely banish billionaires. Like, billionaires should not exist in the society, without a doubt. They distort things too much. And of course they're sociopaths, so yet another good reason to get rid of them. And like, the way that I talk, the way that I'm talking right now about, like, executing traitors and which we should definitely hang all of the people involved in Enron for sure as traitors. I mean, at the bare minimum, like, the language that I'm using here, right? It's the younger generation talks this way. If you're a boomer and you're watching this, the younger generation, that's people who are like 25 and younger, when they go to their parties and they get chatting, this is how they talk. This is what they're saying. They're not interested in your shit anymore, right? And if shit doesn't start to change, they're just going to start making things happen. And you're not going to like what it looks like. I guarantee it. Because your ignorance, arrogance, and ignoring everything, putting your head in the sand and pretending like their issues are not to be taken seriously, it's just going to lead to some serious shit. And if you want to see how serious, you can just take a look at the States, right? We can get there. We'll get there. Yeah. All we got to do is keep ignoring it. That's all we got to do. Just keep ignoring it. Keep burying your head in the sand. Keep pretending like there's not an issue. We'll get there. Yeah. Like, we can have our entire like, all of our cities can just be smashed out. Like, that's what's happened in the States. The media's done a very good job of silencing and pretending like these protests. Like, have you actually seen the streets of New York smashed out? Have you seen any imagery of that? I mean, I have. There's people on Twitter on the streets actually showing what it looks like. Like, there's a reason why people are moving out of these cities. There's a reason why there's a mass relocation happening, right? And of course our media is doing absolutely nothing to report on it. Because why would the billionaires want people to know that they have power, right? Why would the billionaires want the older generation to realize that the younger generation has seized power and is using that power as a cudgel? And just wait until they get formal power, right? Like, the anger and the rage that exists amongst people who are under the age of 30, you're not going to control it. It's going to be a firebrand, and it's completely righteous. And I have no sympathy for the people who are caught in its path. Absolutely no sympathy whatsoever. Like, it's just going to be like a scythe cutting the heads off of wheat and tossing chaff into the garbage bin of history. Like, people like Bush, Obama, Clinton, Kissinger, right? These people are going to be remembered as sociopaths. We're not going to look on them fondly. We're going to look on them as crazed, maniacal lunatics. And people like Donald Trump are just going to be that same level. It's just going to be another tier. And we'll just look at Trump and be like, yeah, he was the end result. We all realized that they were sociopaths, and so we just said, well, if they're all sociopaths, then we might as well actually let an honest-to-God sociopath do it. Someone that no one can deny. He's a game show host. He's no credentials. He's got, like, he's not serious. He's a joke, right? But so was the Obama administration, the Clinton administration, the Bush administration. It was all a joke. They were all just puppets put in front of us by the military-industrial complex. Oh, hey kids, yeah, everything's fine, haha. Like, no. And there is just going to be a reckoning. There's just going to come a time when there's just going to be a mass purge. And when it comes, I know which side I'm on. I hope you do too. Well, on that happy note, I'm fighting my depression, guys. I'm fighting it. But it's not easy. It's not easy when you're surrounded by delusional people who refuse to admit that what's happening is happening. And it's hard when you're not in a position where you can actually, like, talk to people about it. This channel is really all I've got. Like, I can't talk to my customers. I'd get fired. I can't, what can I do? So, how about you talk to your friends and neighbors? Go meet your neighbors. I think that's a good idea. And like, share, subscribe. What the hell? I'm almost at 60 subscribers. Good for me. Alright guys, this is the end of me. Have fun if you can.